All right. Class will be quieter. No, Carissa. All right. So today's lesson, did anybody talk to anybody here that today's lesson was difficult? No? Last hour said that they thought it was pretty much just fine. First hour I think found it a little bit more troubling. Maybe I did change the way I taught it a little bit. So we'll see. Maybe it was too early. We'll see. But we'll see how things go. And today what we're going to talk about is yesterday we did standard form. Raise your hand if you were able to get through at least 2 of the homework problems last night. Okay. If you weren't, please try to get through that tonight. Tomorrow, you're going to have a worksheet all hour to work on it, which asks you to do standard form and vertex form. And in order for that learning to really take place, for that worksheet to really matter, you want to be able to hopefully get caught up on those 2 assignments. Otherwise, tomorrow's worksheet won't have the impact that we would want it to have. So in order to put something in vertex form, your book says standard form. We want to do vertex form. That's again the type of language that gets used. We have to complete the square. So I want you guys to help me out here real quick. You tell me. When you yes. Oh, new note sheets. Did he forget? Did you get one yesterday, Preston? It's okay. It's all right. Paul, you can have one as long as you're on a couple dozen 400s for me this year. How's that? All right, sounds like a deal. Yeah, see, we knew it'd work out some point. Yeah, we got. All right. Okay. Hey, just imagine you running a 400 of the 4x4, Preston running a 400 of the 4x4. I already know Preston's lineup. He's going 110s, 300s, 4x4, and we'll see about triple jump. So no pole vaulting this year. You're not allowed at the pit. I'm kicking you out. All right. So if you were to complete the square, do you remember the very first step to completing the square for this problem? What did you do first? Sydney got it. Most people don't get it. Most people say add the 2 to the other side. No, you set it equal to 0. So you don't have to write this down. I'm just trying to help refresh your brain. Do you know why you set it equal to 0? If you're setting the y value equal to 0, it's because you're solving for the x intercepts. You're trying to find where this thing crosses the x-axis. That's what you're doing. And what's great is when it's set equal to 0, you can do all sorts of stuff. For example, if you need to divide out a negative, well, 0 divided by a negative is 0. If you need to divide out a 2, 0 divided by 2 is 0. It just takes care of all the problems in the world, doesn't it? 0 is a great number. We love it. When you completed the square here, you did add that 2 over. Then you get 2 equals x squared plus 6x. What number did you add to complete the square? 6 divided by 2 is 3, squared is 9. You added a 9 to both sides. So 11 equals the quantity x plus 3 squared. What did you do next? Square root both sides. Plus or minus square root of 11 equals x plus 3. Then what? Then you subtract the 3. Well, that's because you solved for x because you were looking for the x-intercepts, and because you had it equal to 0. Okay. Today is different. We are not trying to find the x-intercepts. We are simply trying to put it into vertex form. All right? If there's a part that doesn't make sense to you, stop and ask the question. The first example and the second should be the most difficult. Then after that, if you're like the rest of the classes, we should get it. But you're better than the rest of the classes. You are my smart class. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to rewrite it as negative x squared plus 4x. Are you okay with that? First step, all right? Bring yourself back to the days where you're completing the square. What would you do at this point? You'd get rid of the negative. So let's do that. But instead of dividing both sides by a -1, let's simply factor the negative out. Whoop, yep. Thank you. Okay. Here's the part you got to wrestle with, everybody. This is the most difficult part. Okay. These next two questions. First of all, what number do you add in to complete the square? 4. Oh no! I just added 4. My equation is now out of balance, right? Okay? The equation's out of balance. You can't just put a 4 there without doing something the other side, can you? You can't do that. All right? So, here's what I'm going to do. First of all, is the true value of that 4 positive 4 or negative 4? Negative 4. Why? Because you have a negative on the outside. So I haven't really added 4 to this side. I've really subtracted 4 from this side, haven't I? Because the true value is a negative 4. Well, if I subtract 4 from this side, what should I do to this side? Subtract 4 as well. Your new expression reads f of x minus 4 equals negative parentheses. How does that factor? X minus 2 quantity squared. What do you think you want on the left-hand side? Do you think you want f of x, or do you think you want f of x minus 4? We just want f of x. So what should we do? Add 4, and we get f of x equals negative x minus 2 quantity squared plus 4. That is vertex form of that parabola. I completed the square and solved for f of x. Now, here's the part you have to follow. That plus 4 came from when I had minus 4 on the other side, right? Instead of writing the minus 4 over on the left-hand side, I could have just written a plus 4 on this side, and it would have been the same thing. That's a step we're going to remove in the next one, and I think that you'll see it and understand it perfectly. Before we do that, let's quick sketch this graph. Does this parabola, is the direction of this parabola up or down? Down, why? Because the negative sign in front, very good. The vertex is going to be the horizontal shift and the vertical shift. Is the horizontal shift to the left or to the right? What number do you plug in to get 0? 2. So it's 2 units to the right. And what's the vertical shift? Plus 4. That is my vertex. So the direction state, and this is what you're going to be asked to do for your assignment, express the quadratic function vertex form. We did. It's right here. Sketch its graph. In order to sketch its graph, we look at the direction of the vertex. We're not going to do the x-intercepts. We're not going to do the y-intercepts. All we're going to do is just plot the vertex and then draw the shape. So I go over 2. I go up 4. And I just draw it going down. I don't care where it crosses the x or y axis. Doesn't matter to me. And then the last part is find its maximum or minimum. Does this graph have a maximum value? Or does it have a minimum value? Maximum. What is the maximum y value that it achieves? 4. And I'm done. Got it? Let's do another one together. And after we do this next one together, I think you're going to be ready to try one on your own. F of x, and you're going to see I'm going to do this one in just 2 steps. I think you're going to be like, oh, I see. I'm going to take that -1 and write it right off to the end. And I'm going to look at this x squared minus 3x. And I'm going to complete the square. In order to complete the square, we take the 3 and divide it by 2 to get 3 halves. We square it to get 9/4. So I'm going to add 9/4. Does everybody see where I got the 9/4? Now, if I added 9/4 to the left hand or to the right hand side, what would I have to do to the left hand side? Add 9/4. Does everybody see that I have 2 options here? I could either add 9/4 to the left, or I could do what to the right? No? Try again. I added 9/4. You can't just add 9/4, can you? You got to maintain equality, right? So in your world, you're always like, well, I want to add 9/4 to that side as well, right? You can do that. That's fine. What are you going to end up doing with that 9/4 in the end anyways? Subtracting it back over. One more time. Exactly. X squared minus 3x minus 1. Exactly what I have, right? You complete the square by adding, you said 9/4. Now again, if you added 9/4 to the right, you've always been told that you should add 9/4 to the left, right? But you're just going to end up doing what in the end? Subtracting 9/4. Well, look. You should see that this expression is exactly the same as the top. Do I have an x squared? Yeah. Do I have a minus 3x? Yeah. Do I have a -1? Yeah. And the positive 9/4 and the negative 9/4? They just cancel. So why even do it? It allows me to write the equation in a new way. How does x squared minus 3x plus 9/4 factor? Quantity squared. Then you have -1 and minus 9/4. So -1 minus 9/4, that's like -4/4 minus 9/4, -13/4. This is it. This is vertex form. 1, 2 steps. 2-step process. What is the direction, up or down? Up. What is the vertex? Three halves and -13/4. 3 halves is like 1.5. -13/4 is like -3.25. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I plot it. It goes up. Does that graph have a max or a min? It has a min. A minimum of -13/4. Always the y value for your minimum or maximum. So those are two examples you can follow in your notes. Now, there's probably about 6 different ways that people show completing the square. Now, here's the funny thing. I had a student last year in my pre-calculus class, got A's in pre-calculus, got A's in trigonometry, got A's in honors algebra 2, A's in honors geometry, showed up at college algebra, retook college algebra. I have no idea why. They had credit for the college algebra. Retook college algebra, emailed me with a picture of the professor's notes the very first week of class and said, I have no idea what my professor's doing. And I looked at it, and they were just completing the square. But there's different ways to go about it. Are you going to add the 9/4 to one side? Are you going to subtract it from the other side? Are you going to divide both sides by a number and solve for f of x later? There's multiple ways of doing it. And so it's important that you see different variations. So I want you to take a sheet of paper that you're going to use for your assignment. You can either, or if you want to, scratch sheet of paper, however you want to do it. But we're going to practice a couple problems right now before we get you into your assignment. You can follow those two for notes, but I also want you to follow a few more example problems. And the reason why I don't create these ahead of time is every group responds differently. So I make them up as we go, and this is the one that I want you guys to try right now, okay? Actually, before you try it on your own, I'd like to see if we could try one together, and then I'll have you do one on your own. Okay? So, this is a parabola. Is it in vertex form right now or standard form? Standard. I'd like to put it in vertex form. So I'm going to rewrite it like this. I'm just going to put the -2 over here. What number do I add in to complete the square? If I add 9 to the right-hand side, I have two options. I can add 9 to the left-hand side or subtract it from this side. Because 9 and -9 make 0. So that's my first step, completing the square, maintaining balance. Now this factors down to what? That's my vertex. -3, -11. What I like about this is I never end up doing anything with the left-hand side. It's much more efficient because second semester you're going to be solving, or you're going to be completing the square on one side for not just x, but also for y. You're going to be doing it twice on one side. And so this skill is very important. Try this one on your own. Okay, here you go. F of x equals x squared plus 12x minus 17. Go ahead and complete the square for that. See if you can put it in standard form or vertex form. Sorry, YouTube Nation, you missed about half the lesson. So, anybody gone today? Or Carissa? Sorry, Carissa, and Julian, if you're watching. I forgot to press unpause. Hopefully you got most of it. I think you did get most of it. It's almost 18 minutes worth. This is the assignment that we're doing. You can read up on it. It's just right out of your book. A, put it in vertex form. B, graph it. And C, identify if it's a max or a min. Have a good day.